Alright guys, welcome to another deck video. Today we're going to be going over Beedrill Swarm. Beedrill Swarm is very interesting. I think it's kind of polarizing because it takes a lot to get set up, but when you do, it's very powerful. It's one of those decks that can snowball really quickly. It can take really early leads and just kind of sustain those leads just by recovering stuff. But if it does fall behind 2 or 3 prizes, it can flounder and just fall way behind. So I think this deck is all revolving on the first 2 or 3 turns. This version could definitely be built better. The reason I'm showing you this version because this is the version for the U150 tournament that we are playing. There definitely could be a little bit more of a speed element to it. But regardless, I will show you this. So, if you don't know what Beedrill does, there are a couple Beedrills that have attacks based off the number of Beedrill you have in play. This deck does 30 times the number of Beedrill you have in play, so maxing out at 120 if you have all 4. And then this Beedrill snipes for 40 damage for the number of Beedrill you have in play. Pluses and minuses to both. This is only 1 energy, but it's less damage. This is 2 energy, and it does more damage. But, you know, 2 attachments on a deck that's trying to go quick, you're going to really need to rely on that double rainbow energy for this guy. We are playing 2 other Beedrills, obviously to max out your Beedrill count. This one's got Free Retreat. When you evolve it, it paralyzes and poisons your opponent. A way to kind of slow down their active. You know, they're going to need to switch out of the active, that sort of thing, or evolve. Flutter Wings, once during your turn, search a deck for a grass Pokemon, so it is a way to kind of help your search. We are going to be playing a 4-4-4 line. Now, there is a lot of versions of this deck that I've seen that play a thicker line. You can play a Togas Weedle and a Togas Kakuna to give yourself a 5-5-4 line just to kind of max out of the number of setup Pokemon you have. I don't think that's necessarily the right option to do because it's only, it is only 2 extra Pokemon to use, and I will plot spoil you here. We are playing a 1-1 Arios line, so you could just switch this out for the extra Beedrills and just focus on the Beedrills, but I kind of like having the Ariados in any grass deck just for that little extra damage. So we are playing Ariados, and then the only other Pokemon we're playing is that Shaman EX. This card is in most any grass-based deck just for that late-game power of being able to put it on your bench and threaten your opponent. So yeah, the whole idea is to get out as many Beedrills as you can and just keep attacking, keep dipping and ducking, keep sniping, keep band attacking all over and over again until you win the game. So keep in mind that you could play the 5-5-4 line. I choose to play the 4-4-4 line just so I can have room for that Ariados and some other extra cards. But there are a lot of cards that you can like add and remove as you go along to supplement that Beedrill line a little bit with the Togas. If that makes sense. We are playing all 10 here, the 2-2 Porygon line, the 1-1 Claydol line, Uxie, Spiritomb, Lapras, and Dunsparce. Spiritomb to kind of slow down your opponent, start to help you out a little bit. You have to be wary about your bench space though, because you do need 3 to 4 Beedrill in play, and these 2 here doesn't give you a lot of options for these 4 if you're having a 2 support Pokemon and that sort of thing. So you got to need to get these off the bench just a little bit. Got to be wary about that bench space. Moving on to supporters, there are a couple extra supporters here that I will kind of highlight on that you could add or drop. We are playing a Holon Mentor as well as a Pokemon Collector, just as ways to get those Weedles out quicker. I don't think you necessarily need the Holon Mentor. That as we've played more with it, this has not been that great of a card. It just increases you having it turn 1, so you can get those turn 1 Weedles down. You also could consider playing a Bridget if you're really worried about getting this turn 1. That's the reason we play 2. The difference between 1 and 2 in your deck is monumental. And we're also playing a Rosies, like I said, just to increase those chances of getting multiple Weedles down turn 1. We are playing a Ninja Boy, and I kind of want to cut this card. It's really not that great. It's only kind of for that surprise Shaman towards the late game. It does help you get your starting Pokemon off the bench quicker and into those Weedles. So get your Spiritomb off of there for the Weedle, get your Dunsparce out of there for the Weedle. But this could easily just be like a Mr. Fuji, just to clear that bench spot and then add more stuff without using your supporter for the turn. It's not bad, but I think there's just better cards. And there you go. There you have it. The whole theme of U150. Ninja Boy is not a bad card. I think there's just better cards. Good versus better. That's U150. And then Wally and Karina to round out your searching options there. Stuff you see in every deck. Draw supporters. We're going to see Colress, Oaks in Theory, Lookers. You're going to have Rockets and N, as well as Juniper and Sycamore. And then more draw supporters here. You're going to have Copycat with Colress and Judge as well for that extra draw power. Judge could be changed for a Sage's Training if you want to, but I kind of like Judge to slow your opponent down with the paralyzing option of the Beedrill from Sky Ridge. Paralyze them, poison them, then judge them, and they have to now dig for a way to switch out of their active. Speaking of switching cards, Lysander, Guzma, and Brimey's, that's really all you're going to need there. There's no EXs except for Shaman, so Brimey's over AZ. You're searching for 2 cards, you have Mallow and Teammates, and then everything else you have Trump Card, Marley's, and Hex. All kind of staple stuff. I think the only staple that you're missing is Skyla, but Skyla gets cut for stuff like the Holland Mentor and that sort of thing. So, all standard looking supporters there, fairly standard. Items now, like this is the moment where this deck could be a little bit faster. You could add a little bit extra items here, a little bit extra search to get those extra Beedrills out. Ultra Ball, Luxury Ball, standard stuff there. Same with Evo Soda, Swoop Teleport, and we also are playing Surprise Time Machine. That's so that if you go into the one from Skyridge to paralyze them, you can then surprise it for like the Mass Attack one or the Flutter Wings one to search for another Pokemon. It's basically just to get that evolution one off of your things, because you're only going to want it for either the damage or just to paralyze them. It's not actually useful just sitting on the bench most of the time, so being able to surprise that one away is important. Computer search in every single deck. Pokemon communications in every deck as well. Same with Level Ball in every deck, but we're also playing Timer Ball here just to kind of give you a little bit extra boost in terms of searching for your evolutions. Draw power, it's just Oak and Missy's Wrath, and this is where you could add more. You could add Bill, you could add Acrobike, you could add Erica, stuff to make it go just a little bit faster to try to draw into the stuff. You could build it more like the Jump Left engine we have, which is more focused on draw power. So definitely there for more search and more draw and more blasting through your deck to get those Beedrills out. We are for recovery, Junk Arm and Item Finder, as well as Revitalizer. It's a grass-based deck, so Revitalizer just gets thrown in automatically. Pow Pad and Versus Seeker in every single deck. You're going to have Super Rod to shuffle stuff back in, Retriever to get stuff back, and then Time Space Distortion over Rescue Stretcher here, because you want to try to, if you can get like a full line of Beedrill back after it dies, you want to take that chance. It's worth it. Both Beater and Rare Candy, because you're playing a Heavy Stage 2 deck, as well as Invention, Escape Rope, Secret Mission to blast through your deck more. That should go in the draw. Secret Mission, Windstorm, and Scoop Up. Like I said, Mr. Fuji could be added here. More draw power could be added here. Bill, Acrobike, Erica, that sort of thing. All to add onto your deck. So, not the speediest build in the world, but you do have all of the stuff that you would think you would see in a deck like this, especially like with Revitalizer and that sort of thing. Speaking of things you'd expect to see, definitely Broken Time Space and Forest of Giant Plants to get those Beedrills out even quicker. Skyfield, because like I said, bench issues do arise with this deck, because you want all 4 Beedrills out, plus like Claydol and Porygon, and there's all 6 of your spots, so Skyfield will help with your bench issues. And then Verbank City Gym to go with your poison, because you are playing Ariados. This is a great way to add that 30 damage, and then if they don't get out of the active, dice come back into your turn. Also, when you evolve into the Skyridge one, you do poison them, so that does help with Verbank to add that extra damage. Muscle Band, Choice Band, ways to add extra damage here. You can struggle with damage output during the mid-late game. Rescue Starve to keep your Beedrills on the field. It's really nice to, if you have Broken Time Space or Forest, when they die, you just put them right back down to keep your damage on the field. And then Floatstone, standard tool card in almost every deck. Most of your stuff is free retreat, but that's really just for your Claydol and your Porygon. All 4 of the Elite 4 plus Dowsing Machine. No reason not to play any of these. They're all super, super strong. Great cards in a deck like this. In every single deck, they're great. And then here we're going to be looking at Rescue Energy. Just same with Rescue Scarf. Keep those Beedrills in play as much as you can. This should almost be attached always to the Evolutions one. The Evolutions one, sorry, because it does attack for 2. The Swarm, the Band Attack Beedrill, only attacks for Grass Energy, so Rescue Energy will just be like a second energy on there, and that's kind of weird. And the Double Rainbow to power up the Beedrill from Evolutions in 1 turn if you need to. Generally speaking, you're always going to kind of have an energy on your bench somewhere on one of your Weedles, so you can evolve into either of them and just keep the attacks rolling. 3, 6, 9, 11, plenty of energy there to attack. You only attack them for 1 energy. With that being said, you could add stuff like EXP Share to keep the Evolutions 1 rolling, as well as Max Potion to keep your Band Attack 1 healthy if they're not doing a one-shot sort of deal. So yeah, like I said, this deck could be built a little bit differently. You could have a little bit more speed into the deck. You could have a thicker Beedrill line. You could have more stuff to conserve energy like EXP share to keep your attacks rolling. So there are a few decisions in this deck that you could alter. I think you look for the Ninja Boy and the Holon Mentor for those 2 spaces if you're looking for more like the Erica, the Bill, that sort of thing. If you're looking for spots. You could also drop the Rescue Energy for an extra spot as well, if you're trying to get a little bit speedier, a little bit more recovery, or whatever you need in the deck. So yep, that is Beedrill Swarm. A fairly decent deck. I wouldn't say it's necessarily one of the best decks, but it can surprisingly win games. And like I said, it is very snowbally. If you can get that Beedrill, like the 4 Beedrills, and just keep going and going and going, being able to band attack and go 120, 120, 120. Here's a snipe for 160 thrown in there, snipe for 120 thrown in. You know, keep going and going. You can snowball leads out of control. So yep, if you have any questions on the deck, please let me know. If not,